Hello, my name is John Nagoski, and I'm a native speaker of English from Wisconsin in the USA. I would like to introduce to you my English reading channel with questions and answers.
The Fox and the Crow. A crow was sitting on a branch of a tree with a piece of cheese in her beak, when a fox observed her and set his wits to work to discover some way of getting the cheese. Coming and standing under the tree, he looked up and said, "What a noble bird I see above me! Her beauty is without equal, the hue of her plumage exquisite. If only her voice is as sweet as her looks are fair, she ought without doubt to be queen of the birds." The crow was hugely flattered by this, and just to show the fox that she could sing, she gave a loud caw. Down came the cheese, of course, and the fox, snatching it up, said, "You have a voice, madam, I see. What you want is wits."
The moral of the story. Be careful who you trust. The crow trusts in the fox's words of flattery, and because of this trust, she ends up being tricked into losing her meal. This fable reminds us to be wary of those we may not know and watch out for flattery.
Which word has the opposite meaning of wary? Cautious, anxious, or inattentive? Which word has a meaning similar to wary? Cautious, furious, or anxious? Pick the word that is similar to circumspect. She would have to be very circumspect in her dealings with Catherine. Wary, sorry, or stark? What is the main problem, conflict, in the beginning scenes of the story? Fox wants the cheese that the crow has. A farmer drops food from his bag. Fox is not good at climbing trees. Crow wants to show off for Fox. Who is the narrator in the story? The fox, the crow, the cheese, or someone outside the story?
The Peacock and the Crane. A peacock taunted a crane with the dullness of her plumage. "Look at my brilliant colors," said she, "and see how much finer they are than your poor feathers." "I am not denying," replied the crane, "that yours are far gayer than mine, but when it comes to flying, I can soar into the clouds, whereas you are confined to the earth like any dunghill cock."
The moral of the story. It's better to be useful than to be beautiful. Never be so proud of yourself. One should be humble always.
The moon and her mother. The moon once begged her mother to make her a gown. "How can I?" replied she. "There's no fitting your figure. At one time you're a new moon, and at another you're a full moon, and between whiles you're neither one nor the other." The moral of the story. Those who change constantly never get what they truly desire.
Mercury and the Woodman. A woodman was felling a tree on the bank of a river, when his axe, glancing off the trunk, flew out of his hands and fell into the water. As he stood by the water's edge, lamenting his loss, Mercury appeared and asked him the reason for his grief, and on learning what had happened, out of pity for his distress, he dived into the river and, bringing up a golden axe, asked him if that was the one he had lost. The woodman replied that it was not, and Mercury then dived a second time, and, bringing up a silver axe, asked if that was his. "No, that is not mine either," said the woodman. Once more Mercury dived into the river, and brought up the missing axe. The woodman was overjoyed at recovering his property, and thanked his benefactor warmly, and the latter was so pleased with his honesty that he made him a present of the other 2 axes. When the Woodman told the story to his companions, one of these was filled with envy of his good fortune, and determined to try his luck for himself. So he went and began to fell a tree at the edge of the river, and presently contrived to let his axe drop into the water. Mercury appeared as before, and, on learning that his axe had fallen in, he dived and brought up a golden axe, as he had done on the previous occasion. Without waiting to be asked whether it was his or not, the fellow cried, "That's mine! That's mine!" and stretched out his hand eagerly for the prize. But Mercury was so disgusted at his dishonesty that he not only declined to give him the golden axe, but also refused to recover for him the one he had let fall into the stream.
The moral of the story.
Honesty is the best policy.
What is the problem that makes the Woodman cry? He is angry about what his friend has done. He has dropped his axe into the river. He is afraid that Mercury cannot find his axe. He has not finished cutting down the tree. How is the Woodman's character? Honest and diligent, greedy, or grumpy? What does the Woodman's friend do when he hears the Woodman's story? He helps the Woodman find his missing axe. He shouts so that Mercury will help him get his own axe back. He takes the gifts that Mercury has given the Woodman. He tries to get gold and silver axes for himself. What is the difference between the way the two men think about Mercury? The Woodman thinks of Mercury as someone powerful, while the Woodman's friend thinks he is weak. The Woodman thinks of Mercury as a helper, while the Woodman's friend thinks of him as someone to trick. The Woodman thinks of Mercury as scary, while the Woodman's friend thinks of him as mean. The Woodman thinks of Mercury as telling the truth, while the Woodman's friend thinks of him as a joke.
The Ass, the Fox, and the Lion. An ass and a fox went into partnership and sallied out to forage for food together. They hadn't gone far before they saw a lion coming their way, at which they were both dreadfully frightened. But the fox thought he saw a way of saving his own skin, and went boldly up to the lion, and whispered in his ear, "I'll manage that you shall get hold of the ass without the trouble of stalking him, if you'll promise to let me go free." The lion agreed to this, and the fox then rejoined his companion, and contrived before long to lead him by a hidden pit, which some hunter had dug as a trap for wild animals, and into which he fell. When the lion saw that the ass was safely caught and couldn't get away, it was to the fox that he first turned his attention, and he soon finished him off, and then, at his leisure, proceeded to feast upon the ass.
The moral of the story.
Betray a friend, and you'll often find you have ruined yourself.
What does the fox try to do? Go on a hunting trip with the lion, make friends with the lion, attack the donkey since she did not have dinner, help the lion kill the donkey instead of him. Which of the following thus describes the fox's character? Brave for approaching the lion, smart for making sure that he would be safe, disloyal for betraying the donkey, or peaceful for trying to compromise?
The Lion and the Mouse. A lion asleep in his lair was waked up by a mouse running over his face. Losing his temper, he seized it with his paw and was about to kill it. The mouse, terrified, piteously entreated him to spare its life. "Please let me go," it cried, "and one day I will repay you for your kindness." The idea of so insignificant a creature ever being able to do anything for him amused the lion so much that he laughed aloud and good-humoredly let it go. But the mouse's chance came after all. One day the lion got entangled in a net which had been spread for game by some hunters, and the mouse heard and recognized his roars of anger and ran to the spot. Without more ado, it set to work to gnaw the ropes with its teeth, and succeeded before long in setting the lion free.
"There," said the mouse, "you laughed at me when I promised I would repay you, but now you see, even a mouse can help a lion."
The moral of the story: a kindness is never wasted. There is no person in the world so little. Which word has a meaning similar to insignificant? Initial, trivial, or original? Pick the word that is similar to unimportant. The details are unimportant at this stage. Insufficient, insignificant, or magnificent? The lion woke up, tired, sad, angrily. The mouse set the lion back to the hunters, asleep or free. What does the mouse promise to do? The mouse promises they will have a party. The mouse promises to help the lion someday. The mouse promises to buy him food. When the mouse sees the lion again, what is the lion doing? He runs. The lion is sleeping. The lion is caught in a net. How does the mouse help the lion? The mouse chews through the net to let the lion out. The mouse cuts the net with a knife.